The Torah in Parashat Beha'alotekha contains the mitzvah of Chatzotzrot at the time of tzara. The Torah says, "V'chisavo melchama ba'artzachem al tzara tzorereschem, harayosem chatzotzrot v'nizkartem ufnei Hashem Elokechem v'noshatem me'oivechem." The Rambam characterizes this mitzvah in Hilchos Tanios Perek Aleph Halacha Aleph as mitzvahs aseh min haTorah lizok ula'ariya v'chatzotzros al kol tzara shetavo al tzibur. So for the Rambam, this mitzvah is intertwined with tefillah. That it's really a mitzvah of tefillah and trua together at a time of tzara. In fact, the way he presents it in the Koseres to Hilchos Tanios is dafka with an emphasis on the zaka. Not even mentioning the actual blowing the Chatzotzrot in the Koseres, where he's talking about the kiyum of the mitzvah, the ikar kiyum of the mitzvah. So it's really a din of tefillah for the Rambam. This is opposed to Rashi and Rosh Hashanah, who understands that Chatzotzrot b'shas Tanios has nothing to do with tefillah at all. And the Ramban, in a number of places, takes this view of the Rambam as well, that Chatzotzrot is really din of tefillah. So according to that, the impression you would get would be that this would be noeg BeZman HaZeh, because tefillah is always shaykh. So if you have a tzara that befalls the tzibur, especially a total communal tzara like Malchama and Eretz Yisrael, so why wouldn't this din of Chatzotzrot be noeg BeZman HaZeh? So, but if you look in the Sefer Chinuch, he actually thinks that this mitzvah in Shin Pei Daled, this mitzvah is only noeg BeZman HaBayis. So why would that be? So the Sefer Chinuch actually counts this mitzvah like the Rambam. Even though the Rambam actually presents, independently this element of Chatzotzrot b'shas tzara, tefillah b'es tzara, and Hilchos Tanios, totally independent from his presentation of the Chatzotzrot blown on the korbanos and the moadim, in the next pasuk in the Torah, there in Beha'alotekha, that uviyom simchaschem moadechem r'shei chadshechem utikatem Chatzotzrot al osechem v'al zivchei shamechem v'yilchem zigrom l'fnei Hashem Elokechem al fnei Elokechem ani Hashem Elokechem. So the Rambam presents that Chatzotzrot al korbanos in Hilchos HaMikdash, not in Hilchos Tanios, and he doesn't have even a koseres over there, because he presents it be'ikr actually in Hilchos Tanios. But they're presented in two different places, so you might get the impression from the Rambam that they're two different kiyumim altogether. But actually in Sefer Mitzvos, the Rambam, and I'll say in the test, actually characterizes them as one mitzvah. Even though these are totally opposite occasions, one of tzar, one of simcha, the Rambam really views them as two sides of the same coin. That there's always this element, this dual element of tzoik al asid and moda al shavar, that we're always cognizant that whatever our situation, whether it be a tzara, we're cognizant that we have to rely on Hashem right now and be mispal to Hashem for His rachamim. But at the same time, moda that Hashem is always there for us, and everything we have is from Him. And the same, by the same token, at a time of simcha, even though we're in a state of hodah for our current situation, we also have the recognition that we're always relying on Him, and therefore we're tzoik al asid as well. Tzaka and hodah, always go hand in hand. So it's really one mitzvah, one kiyum, and ultimately one kiyum of zikaron l'fnei Hashem Elokechem for the Rambam. So given that point, so one might argue that this mitzvah, these two elements of the mitzvah are ma'agev one another. So you would need for both to be relevant to have the other. So the Chinuch counts like the Rambam as one mitzvah, and who in fact actually emphasizes more the element in Shin Pei Daled. The Chinuch emphasizes a little bit more the element of Chatzotzrot on korbanos. So for him, it's going to be only noeg BeZman HaBayis when we have both components. When we have the Chatzotzrot on the korbanos, and that's in fact the explanation that the Aruch HaShulchan and the Moshe Feinstein, Igros Moshe, give for why we don't have Chatzotzrot b'zman hazeh, namely because these two elements of Chatzotzrot are intertwined, and that only when we have the Chatzotzrot of Korbanos can we also blow the Chatzotzrot at a time of tzara, as Rav Moshe says. So for the Rambam, that makes sense because it's ultimately two sides of the same coin. Even as he presents the two halachos in two different places in Mishnah Torah, ultimately it's one kiyum for the Rambam, as we see in Sefer Mitzvos. And this also works out nicely with a comment of the Bechor Shor who says that in Beha'alotekha here that what's the zikaron of Nei Hashem at a time of tzara, from the Chatzotzrot? He says the zikaron is the zchus of the korbanos, that when we're blowing the Chatzotzrot, the very same Chatzotzrot that we would blow on the korbanos year in year out, when we blow them at a time of tzara, so that evokes to a Kadosh Baruch Hu the zchus korbanos of Klal Yisrael, and therefore it makes sense, according to that, Rav Moshe's point, that without Chatzotzrot on korbanos, the mitzvah of Chatzotzrot b'shas tzara would be lacking in its zikaron component.